Manila, Philippines, February 1945. The Pacific War enters its final, brutal phase. Hidden among the ruins of an abandoned Japanese outpost, 23-year-old Aiko presses her back against crumbling concrete. Her breath comes shallow and quick. Around her, 11 other women huddle in the darkness, former comfort girls, kitchen workers, nurses, aides, all bound to the Imperial Japanese Army by circumstance, coercion, or sheer survival. Now, they are nothing. Ghosts waiting to disappear. The supply lines have collapsed. For 3 days, they've had nothing but rainwater and wild grass. The soldiers who once controlled their lives have either fled north toward the mountains or died in the American advance. Aiko's hands tremble not just from hunger, but from something deeper. A terror that has been planted in her mind like a seed, watered daily by propaganda broadcasts that echoed through every military brothel, every mess hall, every makeshift hospital where she served. Americans do not take prisoners, the officers had told them. Women suffer fates worse than death. She believed every word. Aiko touches the rough fabric of her torn uniform, stained with dirt and sweat. She remembers the face of Lieutenant Tanaka, who told her 2 weeks ago that surrender meant torture, mutilation, public humiliation. He said American soldiers were animals. He said they would make examples of Japanese women. He said death in battle was mercy compared to capture. Now Tanaka is gone, the entire unit is gone, and the women remain, abandoned in the shell of what was once a command post. Beside her, Fumiko, 19, barely old enough to understand the full weight of what they endured, whispers prayers to ancestors. Another woman, Keiko, rocks back and forth, eyes vacant. The youngest, Hana, 16, weeps silently into her hands. Each carries wounds that have no names, scars invisible to the eye but carved deep into memory. Outside, the jungle has gone quiet. Too quiet. Then, voices, English. Sharp commands, cutting through humid air. Aiko's heart stops. Her fingers dig into the concrete. This is it. The moment they've dreaded. The moment that will prove everything the propaganda promised. They're here, Fumiko breathes. The women freeze. Some pray. Others simply stare at the doorway, waiting for their executioners to appear. Aiko closes her eyes. She thinks of her village in Hokkaido, before the recruiters came. She thinks of her mother's face. She wonders if dying quickly is possible, or if the Americans will make them suffer first, as promised. Footsteps, closer now. Multiple pairs of boots crunching on debris. Come out, hands up. The words mean nothing to most of them, but the tone is unmistakable. Command, authority, finality. Slowly, mechanically, they rise, hands trembling skyward. They move toward the doorway like condemned prisoners approaching the scaffold. Aiko's legs barely support her weight. Her vision blurs. She prepares for the worst, for violence, for humiliation, for the propaganda to become reality. They step into the light. American soldiers surround them, rifles raised but not aimed, young faces, cautious expressions. Aiko waits for the first blow, the first cruel word. It doesn't come. Instead, one soldier lowers his weapon and signals to someone behind him. Another man approaches, no uniform, carrying a medical bag. A medic. Aiko's mind cannot process what happens next. The medic opens his canteen and offers it to Hana, the youngest. Water. Clean water. Nothing about this moment makes sense. Everything she's been told. Everything she's feared. Everything she's accepted as inevitable truth begins to crack. Aiko watches the canteen touch Hana's lips. The girl drinks desperately, water spilling down her chin. No one stops her. No one strikes her. No one laughs. This cannot be real. More soldiers approach, but their movements are careful, measured. They keep distance. One speaks in broken Japanese, gesturing for the women to sit. His accent is terrible, his grammar worse, but the intention is clear. Rest, wait, safety, safety. The word feels foreign in Aiko's mind. The women collapse to the ground, unable to stand any longer. Exhaustion, hunger, and confusion merge into a single overwhelming force. Aiko's body shakes uncontrollably. She has prepared herself for death so completely that survival feels like a mistake, an error in the universe's calculations. A female voice cuts through the chaos. An American nurse, short and sturdy, moves among them with practiced efficiency. She examines wounds, checks pulses, speaks in gentle tones that need no translation. Her hands are firm, but never rough. When she touches Aiko's arm to inspect an infected cut, Aiko flinches. Expecting pain, expecting violation, the nurse simply cleans the wound and applies bandage. Fumiko begins to sob, not from pain but from disbelief. "They're not killing us," she whispers in Japanese. "Why aren't they killing us?" Keiko stares at the Americans with hollow eyes, still waiting for the trap to spring. They will. Later. When we're useful. But hours pass, and nothing changes. The Americans set up a perimeter. They bring more water, they bring medical supplies, they bring, impossibly, food, canned rations, crackers, something that looks like meat but tastes like salt and preservation. The women eat mechanically, their bodies demanding sustenance even as their minds struggle to understand. Aiko chews slowly, watching the soldiers. They smoke cigarettes, talk quietly among themselves, glance occasionally at the women, but make no move toward them. One young soldier, barely older than Hana, catches Aiko's stare. He looks uncomfortable, almost embarrassed. He turns away quickly. This behavior contradicts everything. In the Imperial Army, captured women were property, resources, tools to be used and discarded. But these Americans treat them like, what? Victims, refugees. The concept has no place in Aiko's understanding of war. As the sun begins to set, a truck arrives. The women tense, certain this is when the real treatment begins. Instead, soldiers help them climb into the vehicle with surprising gentleness. One offers his hand to steady Fumiko as she struggles with her injured leg. She stares at his palm as if it might burn her. The truck moves slowly over rough terrain. Inside, the women sit in silence, each trapped in her own psychological prison. Aiko's thoughts spiral. Perhaps death would have been simpler. At least death, she understood. This kindness, this restraint, this medical care, it's more terrifying than violence because it makes no sense. What do they want? What's the price? The truck stops at a clearing where white tents stand in organized rows. More Americans, more structure, more impossibility. As they're led from the vehicle, Aiko sees it, a large metallic container being opened by two soldiers. White vapor pours out, frozen air meeting tropical heat. One soldier reaches inside and pulls out something small wrapped in paper. He walks toward the women, holding it out. Aiko's heart pounds. This is it. The trick, the trap, the moment everything breaks. The soldier peels back the paper, revealing something pale and creamy. He takes a spoon and tastes it himself, then offers the container forward. Ice cream. Aiko stares at the small cup. White, cold, impossible. In the middle of the Philippine jungle, in the wreckage of war, in the hands of the enemy, ice cream. The absurdity is so complete that her mind refuses to process it. The soldier holds it toward her, gesturing with the spoon. Eat, try, simple motions that transcend language. She doesn't move. None of them move. The American nurse, from earlier steps forward, takes a cup for herself and demonstrates. She scoops the white substance, places it in her mouth, swallows, smiles, then offers another cup to the women. Still no one reaches. Fumiko whispers, "Poison? Why poison us when they could just shoot us?" Keiko responds, her voice flat. The soldier looks frustrated but not angry. He sets several cups on a makeshift table, rough wooden planks balanced on ammunition crates, and backs away, giving them space. Beside the cups, he places a tin of cookies, small, round, golden brown. Minutes pass. The ice cream begins to melt in the tropical heat. Finally, hunger and curiosity override fear. Hana, the youngest, reaches forward with trembling fingers. She takes a cup, lifts the spoon, brings it to her lips. The reaction is immediate. Her eyes widen. She gasps, not from pain but from shock. The cold hits her tongue like a physical blow. Then the sweetness follows, flooding her senses with something her body has nearly forgotten. Pleasure. Tears stream down Hana's face. She doesn't know if she's crying from the taste or from the realization that she's still alive to taste it. One by one, the other women follow. Aiko is the last. She takes the cup. The metal is cold against her palm, another impossibility in this heat. She lifts it to her nose. Vanilla, cream, sugar. Scents from a world that feels like it belongs to someone else's memory. The first spoonful touches her tongue. Cold. So cold it almost hurts. Then sweet. Unbearably sweet. The texture is smooth, melting immediately, coating her mouth with richness. Something breaks inside Aiko. Not her fear, not her trauma, but something else. A wall she built between herself and the possibility of existing beyond survival. For 3 years, she has been a thing, not a person. A function, not a human. Food was fuel. Sleep was maintenance. Existence was endurance. But this unnecessary, impractical, absurd gift of frozen sweetness requires a world where people matter, where comfort exists, where someone thought to bring ice cream to a war zone because captured women might need something more than mere survival. She takes another spoonful, then another. Around her, the women eat in silence. Some cry, some laugh nervously. Some simply stare at their cups as if they might vanish. A soldier brings the tin of cookies. Plain butter cookies, stamped with simple patterns. He sets them down and walks away without ceremony. Fumiko takes one, bites. Her expression shifts from suspicion to wonder. "They taste like my grandmother made," she whispers. The words hang in the air. Grandmother home. Before, for the first time since their capture, the women don't look like prisoners waiting for execution. They look like people remembering what it means to be human. The truck journey lasts 2 hours. Inside, the women sit quietly, their minds still processing ice cream and cookies, symbols of a reality they don't yet understand. Aiko holds her hands in her lap, feeling the phantom coldness still on her fingertips. The sweetness lingers on her tongue like evidence of something impossible. The vehicle stops, canvas flaps open, sunlight floods in. Before them stands a sprawling temporary camp, white medical tents arranged in precise rows. American flags snapping in the wind, soldiers moving with purpose but without aggression. The organization is immediate, overwhelming, nothing like the chaotic collapse of Japanese positions they witnessed weeks ago. A man in clean uniform approaches with a clipboard. An interpreter stands beside him, a Filipino civilian who speaks both English and Japanese. Registration begins. Names, ages, places of origin, medical conditions. Aiko gives her information mechanically. The man writes without judgment, without interest in what she was or what she did. She is simply Aiko Tanaka, 23, Hokkaido. Not comfort girl, not military prostitute, not shame incarnate, just a name. They're led to a medical tent. Inside, the smell of antiseptic and clean cotton. Nurses, both American and Filipino, move efficiently between cots. Aiko is directed to sit. A doctor, middle-aged with tired eyes, examines her wounds. The infected cut on her arm, malnutrition, dehydration, bruises in various stages of healing. He asks questions through the interpreter. When did this happen? Does this hurt? Any fever? His touch is clinical, professional, nothing more. When he finishes, he hands her vitamins in a small envelope and explains dosage, as if her health matters, as if her future extends beyond this moment. Next comes hygiene. They're shown to washing stations, buckets of warm water, actual soap, clean towels. The women strip their filthy uniforms hesitantly, expecting observers, expecting violation. But canvas screens provide privacy. No one watches, no one enters. Aiko washes herself for the first time in weeks. The water turns brown with dirt and dried blood. She scrubs her skin until it's raw, trying to wash away more than just grime. When she's done, they give her clean clothes. Simple cotton shirt and pants on oversized but intact, no holes, no stains, no history. Evening brings food, real food, soup with vegetables, bread, canned fruit, peaches in syrup, impossibly sweet. The women sit at long tables under an open tent, eating slowly, still waiting for the punishment that never comes. Aiko watches the Americans work around them. They're tired, these soldiers. Young men far from home, performing duties that seem mundane compared to combat. One yawns while carrying supply boxes. Another laughs at something his companion said. They're just people, ordinary people doing ordinary work. This realization is almost more disturbing than cruelty would have been. That night, Aiko lies on a cot, an actual cot with a thin mattress and blanket, in a tent she shares with the other women. Above her, canvas roof. Around her, the sounds of breathing, no screaming, no forced services, no officers demanding entry, just sleep. Simple, unmolested sleep. But Aiko cannot sleep. Her mind races through contradictions. Everything she was told, everything she believed, everything that kept her obedient through 3 years of hell, all of it is crumbling. The propaganda said Americans were monsters. So why do monsters bring ice cream? 3 days later, they're transported again. This time to a larger facility, a proper prisoner camp with permanent structures, wooden barracks instead of tents, a central courtyard, a refectory with actual tables and benches, fencing, yes, but also pathways, gardens, order. Aiko and the women are assigned to Barrack 7. Inside, rows of bunk beds with mattresses, sheets, pillows. Each woman receives a footlocker for personal items, though none of them have anything personal to store. The space is clean, aired, maintained. A camp administrator, stern but not cruel, explains the rules through the interpreter. Wake at 6, breakfast at 7, work assignments at 8, lunch at noon, free time in afternoon, dinner at 5, lights out at 9, no violence, no theft, cooperation expected. It sounds like school, like factory work, like normal life. That first night in the permanent camp, Aiko dreams. Not the usual nightmares of officers' quarters and forced smiles and pain that has no end. Instead, she dreams of the brothel in Manila, where she spent 18 months. The small room, the thin mattress on the floor, the door that opened 20, 30, sometimes 40 times per day. She wakes gasping, sweat soaking her sheets, but when she opens her eyes, there's only darkness and the gentle breathing of sleeping women. No one is touching her, no one is waiting. The door remains closed. This absence, this nothingness is shocking in its kindness. Days develop rhythm. Aiko is assigned to kitchen work, peeling vegetables, washing dishes, simple tasks requiring no skill. The work is easy compared to what her body endured before. An American cook, a large man with a kind face, shows her how he wants potatoes cut. He doesn't shout. When she makes mistakes, he simply demonstrates again. The other women receive similar assignments. Laundry, cleaning, sorting medical supplies, light labor, supervised but not controlled. They work 4 hours daily. The rest of the time is theirs, a concept that feels foreign. During free time, some women sleep. Others sit silently, staring at nothing. Fumiko tries to mend her clothes with borrowed needle and thread. Hana walks the perimeter, testing whether the fence is real or imagined. Aiko observes everything. The American routines. The Filipino workers who come and go. The Red Cross representatives who visit weekly, asking questions, taking notes. She's waiting for the system to reveal its true purpose, the hidden cost of this treatment. But weeks pass, and nothing changes. One afternoon, during a break from kitchen duty, Aiko sits in the courtyard. A canteen operates there, a small structure where prisoners can occasionally receive extra food. Today they're distributing something special. Cookies. The same butter cookies from that first night, simple, golden, stamped with patterns. Aiko takes one, bites. The familiar sweetness floods her mouth. She remembers the propaganda, the promises of torture and death. She remembers her certainty that capture meant the end. Instead, she sits in sunshine, eating a cookie, wearing clean clothes, her body healing. The cognitive dissonance is unbearable. Why? She whispers to no one. Beside her, Keiko, still hollow-eyed, still damaged, speaks for the first time in days. Maybe, she says quietly, we were lied to about everything. The words settle into Aiko's chest like stones. 6 weeks into captivity, work assignments expand. The camp needs additional labor for agricultural projects, vegetable gardens to supplement rations. Aiko volunteers, desperate to leave the confines of the barracks, even temporarily. She's assigned to a garden plot half a mile from the main camp, supervised by 2 guards and a Filipino agricultural coordinator. The work is real, turning soil, planting seeds, watering rows of cabbage and tomatoes. Physical labor that produces something tangible, something that grows. The sun is brutal, but Aiko welcomes it. After years indoors, performing services that left her feeling disconnected from her own body, the simple act of digging dirt feels redemptive. Her hands blister, her back aches. She exists in physical space again. During morning break, she sits in the shade of a mango tree. From this position, she can see beyond the garden's edge, a dirt road where civilian trucks occasionally pass, Filipino families, children playing, life continuing as if war is something distant, almost finished. One morning, a small boy waves at her from a passing cart. Just a child's gesture, innocent and automatic. Aiko freezes, unsure how to respond. Then slowly she raises her hand, waves back. The boy smiles and turns away. Something small shifts inside her. That child didn't see a comfort girl, didn't see shame or contamination, just saw another person. During lunch break, the guards distribute sandwiches, bread, some kind of spread, a slice of processed cheese, simple American food. One guard, a young man named Miller, who's learning basic Japanese phrases, sits nearby eating his own sandwich. "Good work today," he says in broken Japanese, pointing at the garden rows. Aiko nods, uncertain how to respond to praise. Miller pulls something from his pack, a small container sweating with condensation in the heat. He opens it carefully. Inside, ice cream, partially melted, but still cold. He's brought it from the main camp specifically for the work detail. He offers small portions in paper cups, the cream already softening into soup. Aiko takes hers. The taste is familiar now. Vanilla, sugar, cold sweetness fighting against tropical heat. But this time, something different happens. She laughs. It's a small sound, unexpected even to herself. A brief expulsion of air that carries something lighter than the weight she's carried for years. Miller looks pleased, thinking he's done something kind. He doesn't understand the magnitude of what's actually occurred, that Aiko has just produced a sound of genuine pleasure for the first time since she was 17, before the recruiters came, before everything that followed. Fumiko, working beside her, hears it too. She stares at Aiko with wide eyes. "You laughed," she whispers. "I know." When was the last time you laughed? Aiko thinks. Years fold backward through memory, through brothels and boats and the moment soldiers arrived at her village with papers and promises and lies. "I don't remember," she finally answers. That afternoon, as they return to camp, Aiko realizes something fundamental has changed. She's no longer waiting to die. Somewhere between ice cream and cookies and gardens and children waving, she's begun, unconsciously, unwillingly, to imagine a future. The thought terrifies her more than death ever did, because survival means reckoning with everything that happened. Death would have been simpler, cleaner, final. Living requires something much harder, continuing. 8 weeks become 12. 12 becomes 16. Time, once measured in hours of endurance, now moves in days of routine. Wake, work, eat, sleep, repeat. The monotony is a gift Aiko never knew to want. The garden thrives. Tomatoes ripen red and heavy. Cabbage heads grow tight and full. Aiko's hands, once soft and deliberately kept clean for her previous work, now carry permanent dirt under the nails. She prefers them this way. Letters arrive at the camp, correspondence for some prisoners from the Red Cross, facilitating contact with families. Aiko receives nothing. She hasn't written to her parents, cannot imagine what words would bridge the gap between who she was and who she became. How do you tell your mother you survived by ceasing to exist? But she watches other women write. Fumiko composes careful characters to a sister in Osaka. Hana drafts letters she'll never send to parents who may not have survived Hiroshima. The act of writing seems to matter more than the delivery. One evening, Keiko, silent, broken Keiko, speaks at dinner. "I think I want to go home," she says quietly. The words hang in the air. Home. The concept feels mythological. "The what home?" another woman asks, not cruelly, just honestly. "Any home. Somewhere that isn't here, isn't there?" Keiko gestures vaguely, encompassing both the camp and the past. Aiko understands. They're caught between worlds, no longer prisoners of Japan, not yet free from America, unable to return to who they were before. The following week brings unexpected news. The war in Europe has ended. Germany surrendered. In the Pacific, Japanese positions continue to collapse. The end, everyone says, is coming soon. End of what? Aiko wonders. The fighting, the occupation, the shame. That afternoon, the camp holds a celebration, modest but real. American soldiers mark victory with extra rations and music from a radio someone produces. The prisoners are included, given special meals and, inexplicably, dessert, ice cream and cookies. By now, these items have lost their shocking novelty, but they've gained something else, symbolism. Every time ice cream appears, Aiko remembers that first moment of cognitive rupture, the instant her certainty about death shattered. She takes her portion and sits apart from the others, watching the celebration. Young American soldiers dance badly to swing music. Filipino workers clap and laugh. Some of the women, the younger ones, the ones whose damage is less visible, smile cautiously. Aiko brings the spoon to her lips. The cold hits her tongue. The sweetness follows. She closes her eyes. This time, there's no fear, no confusion, no waiting for punishment. Just taste, just sensation, just being. In this moment, Aiko understands something she couldn't have grasped 12 weeks ago. The capture didn't end her life. It interrupted her death. There's a difference. For 3 years, she existed as a ghost, a body performing functions while the person inside retreated somewhere unreachable. Death would have made it permanent. Capture, impossibly, offered an alternative. She won't call it freedom. That word is too large, too absolute for what she feels. But it's something. A crack in the sealed tomb of her existence, light entering where she'd accepted only darkness. The ice cream melts on her tongue. Aiko thinks, I will remember this. Years from now, whatever happens, as wherever I go, I will remember that in the middle of war, an enemy gave me ice cream, and I tasted it, and I lived. The celebration continues around her. Music plays, people laugh, and Aiko sits quietly, a paper cup in her hands, feeling something she hasn't felt in years. Not happiness, not yet, but the possibility of it. Someday, perhaps